What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex, and today I'm going to bring you the very first episode of our brand new series, Reddit Review. This is the show where we go through comments, suggestions, and opinions about a particular title of a topic that we posted on Reddit. So before I babble on any longer, let's jump straight into the video. So I posted this about 10-11 days ago, and I opened the discussion with, what is your overall opinion with World War II Zombies so far? How does it compare to Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare Zombies in your personal opinion? And then I put a little subsection below stating, this is my opinion, but BO3 is perfection. I had a great time through the Infinite Warfare season, especially with Shaolin Shuffle, but for some reason, World War II Zombies is just not doing it for me. I know there is a lot to do, and it focuses on the Easter egg as the main point of the mode, and as an Easter egg advocate, this should be a good thing. I can't figure out why I don't like it. It bums me out. Maybe I'm just burnt out on zombies altogether. What are your thoughts? Then I also ask people to be respectful, and I will extend that to the comment section of this YouTube video. Just everybody be respectful. I don't hate the mode or anybody. I just want to gain some insight from other people's perspectives. So just be nice. I mean that wholeheartedly. We all have differing opinions, so no need to get butthurt. And this comment section actually was pretty good, except for one at the very end. And I'll also post this thread in the description below. Yeah, I think that's about it. Let's get right into the comment section. Mintberry Crunch 38 said, I hadn't played zombies since the BO1 days, so World War II resparked my interest in the game. So much so that I decided to download Infinite Warfare and Black Ops 3, at which point I realized World War II sucks compared to the past two iterations of the mode, and I have not played since. I really agree with this statement. I didn't play zombies from BO1 until BO3, so I missed out on Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, and I actually got back into zombies from Advanced Warfare, and I liked it a lot because, you know, I love zombies from the World at War days, but that mode didn't really satisfy me. And then when I turned on Black Ops 3, it like opened my eyes to what zombies had transformed into over the last decade. So Infinite Warfare came out at the time, well, it came out after I got Black Ops 3. I was just all mixed up with the series, so I started getting it back into the zombies at Advanced Warfare, but Black Ops 3 season had already passed. So I was all behind in all sorts of ways. So when I started playing Infinite Warfare, I still had all the Easter eggs from all the other games to go through. So when World War II came out, I had been playing zombies straight for like a year and a half, well, I guess a year at this point, and when it came out I just thought, great, more content, but it didn't satisfy me like the way the other games the way the other games did, and I don't really blame anybody for that. I think part of it has to do with the fact that I'm burnt out, but I understand that comment a lot here because the other two iterations are just so much better. WillMac23 says, I have played World War II maybe 3 times. I played Black Ops 3 a ton, and I really enjoyed it. And I have played Infinite Warfare not quite as much, but I also enjoyed it. I think it's possible I'm just burnt out on zombies, but I find World War II has a little replayability, which I found the other games had much more of. I think it's become obvious the developers didn't put much care into the mode, and in my opinion they did not innovate enough or in the right ways to make it enjoyable to me. I seriously regret buying the deluxe edition for this game, had too high of expectations. Alright, so this is something I mentioned in another video I made a few weeks ago about how the developers just seemed to really focus on the story and the Easter egg, and they did not really focus on the gameplay at all. And it really sucks because that was one of the greatest parts about Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, is they had a much better balance between those two elements that make us love zombies so much. And it really does seem like Sledgehammer doesn't give a shit about their zombies mode. Cameron Dayton is definitely passionate, and I know he does care, but they put way more effort onto multiplayer, and I don't even like multiplayer, and I think multiplayer is better in this game than the zombies mode. and I also had really high expectations. I bought the $100 version of this game, got the season pass, the nice little packaging that it came with, and yeah, I was let down, seriously. 666 Ghost 666 says, I like World War II Zombies better than any past Zombies. Yes, it needs some help, any game can be improved, and service and servers need fixing, but I find the storyline more interesting and immersive, being that it's historical fiction. For example, it's based on historical events. I also like how everything has an explanation, even the Geistcraft energy. I find Black Ops 3, for example, too cartoonish and the story too whimsical and far-fetched. He also went on to say, the classic, this is why he believes it's cartoonish, the classic flaming dogs that appear from lightning and explode, time travel, aliens, giant robots, giant spiders, anti-gravity, dragons, magical bows and staffs. It's a little too off the rails for me, personal opinion. Also, most of the Easter eggs don't seem as intricate as World War II Zombies. Black Ops 3 is too colorful, less horror and scariness. The zombies have glowing eyes, which is unrealistic, making it feel too cartoonish. I like how World War II brings in the energy from the real Barbarossa legend, and that's what Straub uses to animate zombies and control them, not some wizardry or some virus outbreak. I think that's an interesting take, and I feel like some scientists could emulate that in real life, meaning I can see this really happening, blah blah blah. So not to diminish his comment or anything, but I definitely understand that, because that was one of the biggest things for me when I put on World War II. I loved that everything had an explanation, but that only took me so far. Their story is actually pretty good, and the big difference between the Black Ops 3 story versus the World War II story is Black Ops 3 was first, and they've had 10 years to tell this story, and they finally wrapped it up, and it was really confusing. So the World War II story blows Infinite Warfare's story out of the water, and it's a lot easier to digest, and I do too also like the realistic elements of World War II Zombies. It is great, but for some reason when you close yourself off to that fantasy land, so to speak, you limit the story. For example, we don't know how to double pack a punch, or if we can, because we're only allowed to use the Geistcraft once to upgrade our weapon. The Geistcraft also, that since it powers up our weapons, we don't get an extra camo for different maps, which kind of sucks, because I love Black Ops 3 having multiple camos for every map, because we're in the multiverse and whatever. But with World War II, since everything is like linear and streamlined, of course you're only gonna get one camo. Of course you're gonna be able to understand why you have jolts, but that stuff doesn't really matter. You should be able to expand your world, and they're really limiting themselves in. But at the same time, we only have 2 maps, technically 3 with the Gralston house, but we only have 2 maps that have really told us the story, so we don't know where it's gonna go. XPTG says he would put Infinite Warfare above all the Zombies mode. It is Zombies back to its roots, changing up the game mode, taking risks, and not taking itself too seriously. My issue with BO3 are an hour's worth of typing, but I just think Zombies since late Black Ops 2 had been going in the wrong direction. They overcorrected after people didn't like transit maps, but liked Mob and Origins, and every map since has been the same. World War II almost feels rushed or underdeveloped. When I played the Final Reich, it wasn't too bad, but not enough to make the gameplay different. But if they build on that premise for the DLCs and got better, it could have been a solid game. However, I think myself and a lot of the community saw The Darkest Shore, realized the Final Reich got more development time than any map of the DLC we will get. I sold my copy that day. So I agree with him on the fact that IW kind of took us back to our roots a little more. But Black Ops 3 took a lot of risks as well. They came up with the idea of having an Easter egg that led to a boss mode. They took a leap with the wonder weapons. In every map, although it was kind of the same, every map was really different. With Shadows of Evil, we had a lot more fantasy and magic with the Apothecant Servant and the Margwas and the Parasites. How we had a sword and a wonder weapon, and then we got back to Der Eisendrache where we had all 4 elemental bows. It was like Origins perfected, and then the first real boss fight, which is also taking a risk. And then we had Zetsubo Nushima, where we had the mini boss fight. We had the upgradable wonder weapons. We also had the Skull of Non-Stopway with the challenges coming back from Origins. Then we had the actual boss fight itself. And then you go to Gorod Krovi, and you have the double boss fight, in a sense. And a very strange Easter egg to that. Plus the shield and everything can be upgraded. The monkey bombs, the shield, the dragon strike. And yeah, that game kind of does take itself seriously, but I like that. Revelations was a great map in my opinion, but it wasn't really too different from Shadows of Evil, except for the sense of the Easter egg and the storyline. But I do understand what you mean by saying every map has been the same. But Jimmy Zielinski was kind of on his way out. Jason Blundell was winning over the community, so they put him in his place. The maps of Mob and Origins have much more replayability. I mean, I have so many hours in Black Ops 3 and not nearly as much in World War II, but I agree with you also in the sense that it's underdeveloped. It doesn't seem like they really care. We don't have nearly the care as that multiplayer gets, and when they put in an update for multiplayer, it screws up all the zombies. There's little things like when you do the Easter egg and you have your subtitles on, it has the coding in there instead of the actual words, or a weapon won't even be in there. It's a very strange way they go about it. All right, on to the next comment. Flame Drifter says, it's just okay. Don't like it as much as Treyarch or Infinite Warfare though. The maps for the most part don't hold a lot of attention to me, and I tried hard to be invested, but the Darkest Shore isn't awful for casual play. Its Easter egg is really good despite the enemy spam, but I enjoyed Groston House and the Final Reich. The new map isn't anything major or new. Plays too much like the Final Reich, and the enemy types are just as annoying, and the Wonder Weapon lacks. I'm excited for the overall season, but hopefully we get better maps through the season. I also enjoyed Infinite Warfare, but didn't feel like they had super strong maps for the most part. As of right now, I like Infinite Warfare more. World War II just has too many core features that hurt the game. I wouldn't mind the shield mechanic if the red screen time wasn't 10 plus seconds, and the machine wouldn't get so damn expensive. You move super slow, perks have no diversity, and so far the maps have little diversity from each other. In my opinion, Black Ops 3 is nearly perfect. I loved every map, and the story was obviously so much more thought out and better told. Black Ops 3 is my personal favorite zombies game, and I've been around since 2009. Chronicles is also amazing, but I won't talk too much about it. So at the moment, World War II is really stale in comparison to Treyarch or even Infinite Warfare. If the next maps don't have Whistlings, Bombers, or maybe even Pests, I'd be 10 times happier. But this might be another EMZ case. The next maps need better replay value, continue to make good Easter eggs, better map layout and creativity, cool, fun, and sorta OP wonder weapons, maybe new gameplay elements, and even more. But the good thing is there are so many other issues that bring the overall experience down. I think the Darkest Shore commercially is a super weak map, almost as weak as some Infinite Warfare maps. The map itself is weak as well. Yeah, okay, I kinda got that. I don't remember the last time I've taken such a long break from a new map. Haven't played it since the second week. And I agree with you in a lot of ways. Your comment is very big, and I felt like it kind of explains itself, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But the map is weak, and all the maps from World War II so far feel the exact same. And I'm excited for the Season 2 for more of the story. This actually might be my personal favorite story from any Zombies mode so far, because like the previous comment said, it's more realistic. And I also think because I'm at the beginning of it, it's a lot more appealing. And it is dark and twisted. If this was a movie, I would love to see it. But as far as gameplay, it's not as great. And luckily they did fix the shield mechanic or the red screen time, so that's a lot better. As far as the game being weaker map-wise from Infinite Warfare, I don't really think Infinite Warfare had weak maps. I just think that the story sucked a lot, so people just didn't really care. But yeah, they are weaker than Infinite Warfare overall, I would say. Alright, let's go on to the next comment. JLion3 says, World War II is the first COD I have put more time into the multiplayer than Zombies since Black Ops 3. It's just boring, in my opinion. I would have to agree with you here, JLion3. World War II is the first COD I've put more into a multiplayer than Zombies. I am like Prestige 4 or 5, and I am I know I'm one prestige behind in Zombies compared to multiplayer, which is crazy because I haven't played multiplayer since World at War. I never liked Black Ops 3 multiplayer or Infinite Warfare. It was super intense and you're flying everywhere, so I thought boots on the ground would be a little more fun, and it definitely is, clearly, since I put more time into it. And I thought that Sledgehammer would do what Treyarch and Infinity Ward did, which was make their zombies separate from their campaign and their multiplayer mode, which it's separate in the sense of a storyline, but it's not separate in the sense of gameplay. It's the exact same. So there's just not a lot of diversity, and it just gets stale. So I'm agreeing with you there. It's boring. This is probably one of my favorite comments from Jerbear 2008. World War II is a break from regular zombies, as in a commercial is a break from your TV show. Slightly interesting, but you're just waiting for the good stuff to come back. The game is fun for a little bit, but as someone who has played more zombies than multiplayer since World at War, I struggle coming back to play without getting bored. Infinite Warfare was different in a good way from Black Ops Zombies, and this is different in a bad way. Yeah, I would also have to agree with you. I think the linear thought amongst all these comments is that this game isn't holding up and we're all bored. But the problem that I see with all these comments is that none of us really have a solution, and I fit into that category. I don't really have a solution either. I kind of do think that having OP wonder weapons would help, and I know this is a very weird comment. One thing I've noticed about commercials is that they're all the same. They all lack diversity, and that is the same thing with the maps. They all lack diversity, and they don't have like an individual personality. When you think of Der Eisendrache, Zetsubo no Shima, Gorod Krovi, Revelations, Shadows of Evil, in my mind I see these bright, saturated colors, these worlds that are all their own, and I play them all for different reasons. But there is no different reason to play any map. All the wonder weapons are lame. They're all the same, or they're too tedious to get. There's no diversity, and I mean that from an aesthetic point of view, which is contrary to the way I look at most things in life. But I would love to see a map that's saturated with beautiful colors instead of this dark gray, dreary life that they're stuck in. Infinite Warfare was also very good with creating maps that were all different. I go to them for all different things. That mode was really fun, but Black Ops 3 and Black Ops the series in general just takes the cake. Thick Zombies says, I really started to get into zombies from Black Ops 3 since I really didn't enjoy Black Ops 2 zombies for some reason. Nazi Zombies is nothing compared to Treyarch Zombies, but it's understandable since Treyarch has a lot of storyline to work with, and they've been doing this since World at War, so improvements were made throughout the cycle. I really don't know what to think about Nazi Zombies. There's a lot of real-life background story of DLC 1, but it doesn't reflect with the map. It makes zero sense, and the colors are very depressing. Didn't put enough time into Infinite Warfare Zombies, but it was very fun to play. So this kind of just reiterates what I just said a moment ago. There's not a lot to say about why Nazi Zombies isn't doing so well, but it does have a great story. But like I said, again, the colors are very lackluster and depressing. Treyarch, again, has had 10 years, and they didn't make perfect maps all the time, but they were the only ones making maps, so we didn't really have anything else to go off of at the time. And I think Thick Zombies, if you went back and played Infinite Warfare compared to World War II, you would find that it's a pretty great game. Salt Distributor says, I like the storyline much better. The gameplay leaves a little to be desired. Perhaps that's only because there's one DLC. Yeah, no, I agree with you. The storyline is pretty good. And yeah, there's only one DLC, so we're going to have to see what comes along the way. Hopefully it is improved. Oppressive Motherfucker says, it started off better than any Zombies installment to date, but the lack of updates, love, content, and care from the devs has turned into a bland, forgettable mode that never ceases to lack something. It's too easy, too simple, all the maps are a reskin of each other so far. I think you probably have said it the best out of everyone's comment thus far. When I put in Nazi Zombies for the first time, I remember texting my girlfriend saying, this is the best Zombies game I've ever played. And then even when I played Groston House and The Darkest Shore, I was like, holy shit, this is the best mode I've ever played. And then after a week I'm over it. I don't necessarily agree that it's too easy. It's definitely simple, but I had a hard time with the Darkest Shore. It's a pretty tough map in my opinion, especially with the Easter egg. High rounds aren't hard. I'll agree with you there. And all maps are reskin of each other, so yeah, I agree. All right, on to the next comment. Here's our last comment from Drake Shadow 1. So far, I'm not impressed with it. Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare both had fun first DLC and a fun starting map. I find that World War II is trying too hard to copy what has been done in the past, mostly the Black Ops 1 EE. But then again, I quit playing Infinite Warfare Zombies after the second DLC, only to come back after the last DLC, and it happens to be my favorite experience yet to date. Okay, I like ending on this comment because it's optimistic in a sense, because the way your last sentence, you said you quit playing Infinite Warfare Zombies after the second DLC, only to come back after the season, and it happens to be your favorite. So I would like to apply that to World War II Zombies. Okay, so what? It didn't have a great DLC 1. We have 3 left. Maybe DLC 2 is going to be the big bang, and we're going to get orders, and we're going to get extra camos, and we're going to have ways to max up our weapons with XP and all sorts of stuff. Maybe they are going to change the game. We can hope. I'm trying to be optimistic because I've put a lot of money into this game and a lot of time, and I would really like to see it thrive. So yeah, so far I am not impressed with it. And Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare have had their time and they have done really well. So I hope that World War II gets shit together now that the Sledgehammer guys are gone and moved to Activision. Maybe we'll have more improvements in the game that were being held back or not focused on. So yeah, we'll just see what happens.
That's going to sum it up for our brand new series, Reddit Review. If you like this series and you want to see more episodes, please leave a like or comment or subscribe to the channel. We would really appreciate it, and we love to hear what you have to say. So please bring the feedback on. Alright guys, that's going to do it. I'll catch you next time.